Jack's excavator, 14 months beforehand. The isolation switches and stairways and that, where that fella died in Western Australia.
You're on that. Take your time.
Yeah, it didn't get flagged here, and we just want to know why.
Mate, has anyone, normally we understand that the mines department, they get a families coordinator.
Yeah, heard from him about 4 times.
So it's now how many months since we lost Jack?
7.
7 months.
It's
And what are you hearing from?
they won't tell us a thing, because they say the report's not out, it's not finalised. They can't talk about it until it's all finalised. Well, Goldings had finished theirs about 4 months ago. Why does it take 6 months? The fella that just died, the basketballer, Kobe Bryant in America, his helicopter goes down. They've already come to gone, inspect it and come up with the thing to say that it was mechanically safe, and he made a wrong turn in the fault. Right? Miscalculation by the pilot. That was spread over a bigger area than what Jack's was. Jack's was only a couple of square metres, not a couple of square K. What's wrong with these people? And the mine, the bloke from the mines department, the liaison bloke, rings up, and I don't know whether he'll talk to me anymore. I told him to piss off last time. I asked him what he had, and he said, nothing.
I can't imagine, the pain and the heartache that you've gone through over the last period of time. What were the words you'd like to say to them?
Well, possibly the thing that's creating the lack of safety, so to speak, but has to be a couple of things. The first one being the bonuses that are getting paid higher up the chain. And the blokes on the floor don't get anything, just yelled at and told they're pussies if they don't get this done and all this sort of shit. The bonuses have got to stop, because you've got supervisors, managers, and all the way up the chain, no doubt, and the better the output, the more money they're making, they get a percentage of it. Some of the safety regulations that shouldn't be bypassed, like that flagging of that accident in Western Australia. That should have been flagged here and followed up and gone through. But I'd say because of the bonus factor and the taxes that the government take, they're not interested in following it up because it's not profitable. Not profitable for them in any way, shape or form. The more production they got, the more taxes they get, and the more the bonuses are worth. I had one bloke out here, one of the pit bosses, tell me one day, because I was the safety bloke for the pit, just the spokesman to go to the meetings. If it involved money, mate, you wouldn't get it. There was no way knowing. We had dead spots on the radios, and we just wanted a tower put up to take out that dead spot. I'd only got the arse over this one. Anyway, they wouldn't entertain it, just kept fobbing me off for 3 years. I think it's finally getting done now, actually. So that would have been back in 2005. Anyway, there was another one that we wanted, that the walls moved out there. When it rains and then the sun comes out, it expands it. and you get bits falling out of the walls. Well, and they come in the morning. So we start at 6. We're already down in the pit working. They come in at 7. It's 8 o'clock before they get a result, and we don't find out till 10. So I said, well, we want to know first up. And they wouldn't do anything about it. And just at that particular time, there was about 4 blokes from the mine manager down that were going back to Western Australia. So this is when I only got the arse from. I started to run. They're all pissing off before the wall fell and they made culpable. Well, it didn't go down real well. So, but things like that, even that didn't force them into it.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think has to be the sort of what's your expectations on what the government should be doing now? I mean, you talked about this mine. You talked about it as a mine safety virus in Queensland. So what do you think? I mean, you've been a person with hands on. You've been on the ground. You understand what the industry's about.
Yeah.
What do you want the industry to do to get rid of itself of this virus?
Well, the blokes haven't got any representation on the floor, which means no unions. Well, there's not unions at a lot of the mine sites, and they're not allowing the unions on site, which means that the blokes haven't got. If they want to bring up a safety something that's unsafe and they want to bring it up, if the company don't want to do anything about it, which they more than likely won't, they'll find something to get rid of this fella let down the track. They'll think of something. Say anything without fear of retribution. If the union's there working with the safety fella, and even this has to be done properly too through the unions instead of all the buggerising around there being done. But if they're represented properly, the union bloke doesn't have to mention by name who told him. He can just go in and say there's been a safety incident that we want you to have a look at, and they can go about it that way and get it fixed. And the union can make them fix it, or hold them in. Without it, you're getting people that won't report stuff. We found that out on the day of Jack's funeral. That there were several people that knew exactly what was going on out there, but they couldn't say anything. Yeah, and somebody asked me if I'd name them. I said, "You've got to be kidding." That's just not on. That's just putting them in the firing line. But there's got to be safety and union representation going together, working together.
So you said, like in the lead up, you told me a little bit earlier, in the lead up to Jack's accident, that there'd been you'd found out there'd been a number of issues reported on the site. Yeah,
the stairs creep with the hydraulics. That happens pretty often. And 3 or 4 times, I think, they've been reported with the same thing happening, because when the stairway creeps, it's got a safety switch on it as well. So if it goes so far, it'll shut everything down. To get everything to work again, you've got to hit the safety reset switch. And that just in the wrong spot. And he's hit the butterfly switch that brings the stairway back up. Unfortunately. And none of it should have been there.
So if you think it like they'd done a risk assessment on the excavator.
You'd think they would have, wouldn't you? Well, how did it get past? Is there a coal mine standard, or a mine standard for safety before the vehicle is passed off to the operator to operate it when it first comes on site? Is there something that they're supposed to do? Is there an Australian standard safety thing? These things were made in Japan, I believe.
Yeah.
But fitted out here with the stairways and the walkways. So, it's very confusing, who's to blame? Golding's, Baralaba Mine, or Komatsu?
Yeah.
all three. I don't know. But unless they start fixing these problems, it's going to be a very sad time.
You've obviously seen a little bit about that review.
Yeah. Not much, but
yeah. What do you think that's like? Are we reactive or are we proactive in this? Is it?
They're always playing catch up. Nobody's playing in the forward pack of the game. They're all back here. They're all missing what's going on up here. By the time they get there, it's all over. 8 people dead. They should be up here before it gets there. And we've had no indication at all as to what happened, how the incident happened. What we know is what we've heard off other people.
Yeah. And has Golding's been in touch with you?
Yeah, but they're not allowed to say anything until the Mines Department release the whole lot together.
Yeah. And what about CFMEU? CFMEU, they haven't?
Yeah, well, they did an investigation, so I suppose they're under the same gag order as everyone else, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous the whole way. If I get back to how the safety is supposed to be handled, obviously the mines are not going to let the unions in on site and for the blokes to join. So maybe the only option left to them is that they all walk out as one and join the union and then go back in. And then they can't be denied union representation on site. They'd have to be allowed in. Otherwise, they just finish an hour earlier in each shift and go for a union meeting, and they can't stop them. That'd be ridiculous. They're killing themselves. I can't understand why they're doing it. You know, when asked about why hadn't the report come out after 6 months, apparently one of the mine inspectors went away on holidays and hadn't signed off on it. So that was put back again. You know, I wonder what they'll come up with this time.
Do you think there's incompetence?
I think it's the time factor. You know, if you let it go for a long enough time and people settle down, that's what's supposed to happen. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's what their whole idea is, that they're...
Do you think you can ever get over this, losing Jack?
No.
No.
What we want to know is, why isn't the government doing anything? What are they covering up? What seems to be the problem? You know, they're supposed to be out there looking after our interests. This is obviously not happening. Why can't somebody just say, is greed and ego just going to rule the whole world? You know, that seems to be what it is. You know, there's them and us. There's the greedy and the egotistical, and we've got the ground workers that have got to cop all the brunt of, because they haven't got enough quid to buy the holiday house or something like that. You know, don't see the purpose. Maybe if the mines are, you know, if the deaths keep happening and the mines are proved culpable, and that it was totally their fault for, you know, for the death or the major injury, maybe their licence should be withdrawn, and then the mine put up for lease again to someone else. You know, I can't see that being a problem, but it'd certainly keep them in line a bit, you would think. Other than that, I don't know what else to do. Yeah, it's sort of, we're all in the same boat here. And If they want to get in contact with us and maybe sit down and we can all have a chat, it'd be great. More than willing to do that. But it reminds you of the every time there's a world war, First World War, Second World War, the politicians' kids didn't go. They sent us riff-raff in there, you know, and couldn't give two shits about it. And the same thing happens here. I'm pretty sure none of the politicians will let their kids work in these bloody coal mines. I don't know. It's just beyond belief sometimes. Yeah, I know there's some people trying, but the ones that are up high enough that have got the authority to be able to look the other way are doing it. They're just doing exactly that. It's gone are the days when the politicians work for the people. They're supposed to work for us. We're not supposed to work for them. You know, they're supposed to represent us and guide us in the right direction. The people of Australia own this coal, all of us, you know, and the people working there are shareholders in this particular thing. The mine owners have only got buy the right to mine it and sell it. It's the people that are working there that own the mine. Yeah.
The Minister for Mines and Mine Safety in the state, Anthony Lynham, has he rang you?
No. He wasn't he the same bloke that said that Queensland has the best safety record in the world?
Yep. Yeah. I think he said it again in Parliament last week.
How can you say that with 8 deaths in 18 months? In a small place like bloody Queensland. It's incredible.
Do you think the industrial manslaughter legislation will fix it?
Yeah. As soon as how long do you reckon it'll take solicitors to work out who's culpable of manslaughter? Because it's a pretty thin sort of charge, isn't it, really? You know, you've got to really define it to get manslaughter out of them.
Yeah.
No, they'll get around that one. It's just another way of the government sidestepping the issue again. You know, we'll do one little thing and it sounds good and that's about as good as it'll get. What the politicians, I don't think they've kept up with the times. You know? I think the politicians are still living in the era of late 1800s, early 1900s, where they could do what they liked, you know. And they still think they can do it and get away with it. You know, the way that, you know, Facebook and the internet, everything, everybody knows everything basically instantly these days. You know? And we were contacted by different people the night Jack died, way before Goldings did or any of the others did, even the police and stuff like that. You know?
So you heard from people off Facebook?
They rang us up.
Rang up before even the police or the Goldings or the mines department spoke to you?
Yeah, they rang about 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So they basically shut everybody up straight away. Well, I suppose until the family are notified, I suppose officially by the police, I'd imagine. Yeah.
Do you think Jack will have a legacy in Queensland?
I hope so.
Yeah. How do you think that they can honour Jack?
Well, I think they've all got to stand together and demand representation. Obviously, the mines have got representation in the government, and the government's going to stand behind them. We've got no one on the ground to stand behind the blokes. No one. So I think they've got to honour themselves by sticking together and demanding that they get looked after, because there's no other way to do it.
No.
It's proven time and time again that if you've got a happy and safe workplace, I think it'll just cruise along and do well. But the classic classic sort of, putting the cowboys in charge again, I suppose. Yeah.
Do you think Lynham has dealt with your situation fairly?
I didn't think he dealt with it at all.
Mm.
I don't think he's got a clue what the hell's going on,
Mm.
especially if he thinks that we've got the best safety record in the world.
Mm.
Where in the hell did he get that from?
Last week, there's a guy come out with a report called the Brady Report. It's the report that was announced on
That 320 page one.
327 pages. And Brady said in that report that we're in a fatality cycle. He said we're just normalising.
So he thinks this was bound to happen no matter what, basically. He thinks that
The government's too disconnected from.
they haven't got a clue. Have not got a clue. Now, they rely on somebody else giving them a report, who's probably relying on somebody else and somebody else to give them a report. Just lift your game, mate, and do something. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of other people with a lot of families that you're going to upset in the future. And you've got to fix things, mate. You just got to fix it. And to all the families out there in our position, and we'll get together.